Bad Bunny is making a surprising move that many didn't anticipate, and if you're not paying attention, you might overlook why it's significant. On March 7th, El Conejo Malo will perform in Tokyo, Japan, marking his first ever concert in the country. However, this isn't just an ordinary concert. It's not part of a world tour or a festival. It's something far more exclusive, personal, and frankly, more remarkable than most people recognize. Spotify has organized a special event called the Billions Club Live Series, and they selected Bad Bunny to participate. Once you learn the full story of why he was chosen and what he has achieved to earn this opportunity, it becomes clear that he is operating on a level that sets him apart from nearly everyone else in the music industry today. Welcome to Pop Showroom, where we bring you the stories behind the headlines. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button right now because this story goes deeper than anything you've seen in the mainstream media. So, let me break this down for you the right way. The Billions Club is exactly what it sounds like. It is a club, an exclusive one, reserved only for songs that have crossed 1 billion streams on Spotify. 1 billion, not a million, not even 100 million. 1 billion plays on a single track. Most artists are lucky if they get one song to that number in their entire career. Some of the biggest names in the world have 2 or 3 songs sitting in that territory, and they celebrate it like a national holiday. Bad Bunny? He has over 28 songs that have crossed 1 billion streams each, and the number is still climbing. 28 tracks. That is not a fluke. That is not luck. That is a pattern of dominance that the music world has rarely ever seen from any artist, let alone a Latin artist rapping primarily in Spanish. And that is what makes this Tokyo performance so much more than just a concert announcement. Spotify is essentially throwing this event to celebrate what Benito has built, stream by stream, hit by hit, over the course of a career that has been nothing short of extraordinary. The show is going to be held for one night only in the city of Tokyo, and here is the part that really hits different. It is not open to the general public. You cannot just buy a ticket and walk in. This event is exclusively for Bad Bunny's top listeners in Japan, meaning Spotify identified the fans in that country who have been riding with his music the hardest, the ones with the most hours logged, the most playlists built around his tracks, and those are the people who get to be in the room when he performs live in Japan for the very first time. Think about what that means. You could be a fan sitting in Tokyo, streaming Bad Bunny every single day on your commute, on your lunch break, in your apartment late at night, not even knowing that those streams were adding up to something. And then, one day, Spotify tells you that you have been selected. You are going. You get to witness history up close. That is a moment that person will talk about for the rest of their life. Now, here is where the story gets even more interesting, because nothing about Bad Bunny choosing Japan as the location for this milestone celebration feels random. There is a track in his catalog called Yonaguni, and if you have not heard it, you need to stop what you are doing and go listen. He dropped it in 2021, and it immediately felt different from everything else he was putting out. The song is named after a real island, Yonaguni, which sits at the far southwestern tip of Japan, one of the most remote and visually stunning places you can imagine. The track itself carries this dreamy, emotional energy that feels almost otherworldly, and the music video took things to an entirely different dimension because Bonito went ahead and depicted himself as an anime character in it. Not inspired by anime, not referencing anime, he became one. Animated in a full Japanese art style, moving through visuals that felt like they were pulled straight from a big-budget Studio Ghibli production. It was bold, it was creative, and it showed a side of Bad Bunny that a lot of people were not expecting. But what really stopped people in their tracks was the outro of that song. Right at the end, Bad Bunny starts rapping in Japanese. Not a word or two, not a basic phrase for the aesthetic. He actually delivers bars in the language, and whether you understand Japanese or not, you can feel the effort and the intention behind it. This was not a gimmick. This was a man who was genuinely drawn to a culture, genuinely curious about a place and its people, and chose to express that through his art in the most direct way he knew how. And the world responded. Yonaguni crossed 1 billion streams and joined the growing list of Bad Bunny tracks that have officially entered that elite territory, which means the very song that connected him to Japan is also part of the reason he is being celebrated there now. That is the kind of full-circle story that you cannot write. It just happens, and when it does, you have to stop and appreciate it. What Bonito has built with Japanese culture goes beyond one song, though. His interest in that world, in those aesthetics, in that visual language, has shown up in different ways across his career. He's always been an artist who refuses to stay inside one box. From the beginning, he was mixing genres, blending sounds, pulling from places that traditional reggaeton artists were not looking at. That curiosity is what makes him dangerous as a creative, and it's what makes his fans feel like they are always about to witness something unexpected. When you follow Bad Bunny, you learn very quickly that you do not know what is coming next, and that is exactly the energy that keeps people locked in. Now, zoom out for a second and look at the company he's keeping with this Billions Club live performance. Spotify has only extended this opportunity to a very small number of artists so far, and each one of them is a massive global name. Miley Cyrus held her exclusive show in Paris. The Weeknd did his in Los Angeles. Ed Sheeran took his to Dublin. These are artists who have dominated charts across multiple continents, who have shaped the sound of their eras, and Bad Bunny is now standing right alongside them as someone who has earned a place in that conversation. And out of all the cities in the world he could have chosen, or that Spotify could have selected for him, the choice is Tokyo, Japan, a country where Spanish is not the native language, where the cultural gap between Puerto Rico and the streets of Tokyo might seem enormous on the surface. And yet, somehow, through music, through genuine artistry and curiosity, Bad Bunny has built a fan base there that is passionate enough to make this event possible. That's the real story underneath all of this. The streaming numbers are impressive. 28 billion streamed songs is a jaw-dropping achievement that demands respect on its own. But the deeper story is about reach. It's about what happens when an artist from a small island in the Caribbean creates something so honest, so full of feeling, so rooted in who he is, that it travels across the ocean and lands in the ears of people in Japan who don't speak his language but feel every word anyway. Music does that. Great music does that. It doesn't need a translator. It doesn't need a marketing campaign targeted at every specific market. It just hits, and people feel it, and they come back for it again and again until the streams pile up, and suddenly you're looking at numbers that don't even feel real. Bad Bunny has been in a league of his own for several years now, and the conversation around him has shifted multiple times. There was a period where people were debating whether he would have longevity, whether his style would hold up, whether the Latin music wave he was riding would crest and fall. None of that happened. Instead, he kept growing. He kept taking risks with his sound, his visuals, his messaging. He showed up to award shows draped in fashion that made people stop scrolling. He made bold statements about Puerto Rico and politics and identity and never flinched. He crossed over into acting. He dated one of the most famous women on the planet and handled every bit of that public attention with a kind of cool that most people cannot manufacture even when they try. And through all of it, he kept putting out music that hit, every single time. So, when March 7th arrives and Bad Bunny steps onto that stage in Tokyo for the very first time, you have to understand the weight of what that moment carries. This is not just a performer showing up to do a set. This is a man standing in a country that he has been connected to through his art, facing an audience of people who chose his music out of everything available to them, in a city that sits on the other side of the world from where he grew up. The fans in that room are going to know every word, even if they don't speak Spanish fluently, because that's what happens when music gets into you at that level. Language becomes secondary, the feeling takes over. And you have to wonder what songs he plays. Does he open with something that hits like a wall? Does he save Yonaguni for a specific moment in the set, maybe toward the end, when the crowd is already electric and emotional, and ready for something that feels personal? Does he say something in Japanese again, the way he did in the outro of that track, and watch the entire room lose it completely? These are the details that make a night like this legendary rather than just memorable. The decisions an artist makes in a room that charged can turn a concert into something that lives in people forever. The Billions Club live series is still relatively new as a concept, and the fact that Spotify is using it to spotlight artists in cities that feel meaningful rather than just obvious is what makes it special. Paris, for Miley Cyrus, made sense because of the glamour and the global fashion energy she represents. Los Angeles for The Weeknd made sense because of his roots in North American culture and the cinematic quality of his sound. Dublin for Ed Sheeran made sense because of his storytelling tradition and his connection to that part of the world. And Tokyo for Bad Bunny makes complete sense when you know the story. When you understand Yonaguni, when you understand what that track meant and what it represented about where his artistry was going, the choice of Japan does not just make sense, it feels inevitable. This is what happens when an artist puts something real into their work and trusts that the world will find it. Bad Bunny made a song about a tiny island at the edge of Japan, rapped in Japanese at the end of it, put himself in an anime video, and sent it out into the world. And now, years later, that same connection is the reason he is flying to Tokyo to perform in front of the fans who loved him hardest. That is the story. That is what 28 billion streamed songs looks like in real life, not just a number on a screen. A night in Tokyo that nobody in that room will ever forget, surrounded by people who proved through every stream and every replay that they were paying attention all along. El Conejo Malo is going to Japan, and the music got there first. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation, so please share your opinions in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on this story.